Hi everyone, this is Stephen Choi. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you guys had a wonderful Cinco de Mayo yesterday. This is the first video for May 6th, Wednesday, May 6th. This is part one, okay? Uh, Before I get into today's lesson, I wanted to mention that I forgot to talk about a word when I was talking about questions, information questions. Remember I talked about WH words? I forgot to mention the most common WH word in my last video. Okay, so here they are. Okay, so I forgot to mention what. I can't. You know, I don't know why I couldn't remember to say the word what, but what is a WH word? Okay, which I forgot to mention. So it's what, when, where, which, why, who, how, and you might even add a whom, like with whom did you go eat dinner last night? Something like that, okay? So WH, 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 okay? So these are the common words that we use to start information questions, okay? All right, so let's go to today's lesson. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the book on page 35, okay? Page 35 in the student book, the color book, okay? Page 35. There it is. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go back and do a little review on because and because of. Okay. When we use the conjunction because, as you know, it follows. It is followed by a clause. Clause, which is what, a subject and a noun. Okay. But if we use because of, as you know, a noun phrase follows. Okay. So here on page 35, it's asking why questions. Why? Okay, it's asking for a reason. When somebody says why something, they want to know what the reason is, right? All right. So the first question, it says, why couldn't you sleep last night? It says because of my noisy neighbors. And the second question is, why couldn't you make the cake? Because I didn't have any eggs. Okay, so look at number one. Okay, which is a repeat of the question and answer I just read. But look at number one. It says you couldn't sleep last night. Okay, so why couldn't you sleep last night? Okay, if this were a real class, I would ask you to write down the answer, actual question, actual answer to this question. Okay, so what would you say? What would you say? Since we can't do this right now, I mean, you can write at home, but I can't see what you're writing. Um, um, what would you say? You couldn't sleep last night, and the reason is noisy neighbors. Okay, so noisy neighbors, is that a clause? Is that a clause or is that a noun phrase? Noisy neighbors. Obviously, that it doesn't have subject verb, so it must be a phrase, right? Noisy neighbors. So which one would you use? Because of, right? Because that one goes with noun phrase. Okay, so how would you say this? You would say, give me the answer. Okay, you would say, I couldn't sleep last night because of the noise. Simple as that. I couldn't sleep last night because of the noise. Okay, so using because of, it works out perfectly with the phrase that they give us. Okay, because of the noise. Okay, or I'm sorry, because of noisy neighbors. I'm sorry. Okay, so I couldn't sleep last night because of the noisy neighbors. Because of the noisy neighbors. Okay, so noisy neighbors. Now, how would you make that into a clause using because? How would you do that? Okay, again, you can always freeze this. Okay, you can stop, pause, and write down your answer, or you can just say the answer. Okay, if you're driving, don't write it down. Okay, you can just say the answer. Okay, how would you make that with because? So simply because I couldn't sleep last night because noisy neighbors. No, no, you got to put because of, right? So how would you just do it with because? How would you make that noisy neighbors into a clause, which means have a subject and a verb, right? Okay, you okay? I couldn't sleep last night because my neighbors were noisy. Okay, because my neighbors were noisy, or the neighbors were noisy. Okay, very good. Okay, so I think you got. So I think you know what we're trying to do here. Okay, let's try number two. Number two says you couldn't make a cake. Didn't have any eggs. Didn't have any eggs. Is that a clause or noun phrase? That's a clause, right? Didn't, okay, have any eggs, okay? I didn't, so subject is I or you, okay? And did not have, did have, okay? Not is the adverb. Did have is the verb, right? It has subject and verb. So it must be a clause, so you have to use because, okay? So the answer is, I couldn't make a cake because I didn't have any eggs, okay? Because I didn't have any eggs. Okay, good. Did you get that? Okay, is that what you said? I couldn't make a cake because I didn't have any eggs. I did not have any eggs. Now, can you make this into just a noun phrase? Okay. Remember I said, sometimes it's, you can't do both ways. It's not always so easy. So how would you do that? How would you do that with the noun phrase? How would you make that using because of? You couldn't make a cake because of because of no eggs. Okay, so yeah, you can't. It doesn't sound right? You can't always do it that way. The closest thing you could possibly do is I couldn't make a cake because of the lack of eggs, something like that. Okay, that's the closest, but nobody speaks like that. Okay, all right, let's go to number three. Number three. Okay, the neighbors couldn't lock the door, and the reason is lock was broken. Lock was broken. Okay. The neighbors couldn't lock the door. Lock was broken. Okay. That's a clause, right? So just simple because, right? The neighbors couldn't lock the door because the lock was broken. Okay. Was broke. Okay. Was broken. Okay. So what's the subject? Lock. What's the verb? Was. What's broken? Is that a verb? No, that's past participle, right? That's an adjective. Okay. That's participial adjective. And we'll talk about that later. It sounds like it's part of the verb, but it's not, okay? All right. So the neighbors couldn't lock the door because the lock was broken. How would you make that using because of with the noun phrase? How would you change that to noun phrase? Okay. What would you say? How would you write that down? Okay. You can either write it or say it, okay? Remember, just pause the video. Okay. So so the neighbors couldn't lock the door because of the broken lock. Okay, what kind of lock? Broken. That's an adjective. Okay, participial adjective. Okay, so that's a phrase. Okay, all right. Number four, you couldn't change the alarm battery. What's the reason? Don't have a ladder. Okay, so how would you do that one? Is that a because or because of? Okay, the reason is didn't have a ladder. Okay, does that sound like you can make it into a clause? Yes, you can. Okay, so you would say, I couldn't change the alarm battery. I couldn't change the alarm battery because I didn't have a ladder. Okay, because I didn't have a ladder. All right, did you get that? Is that what you said? Okay, I couldn't change the alarm battery because I didn't have a ladder. Okay. All right. So again, can you make this into a noun phrase? I mean, you could, I guess, but that's not how people talk. It's not. You can't always do it both ways. So this one is just good using the clause with because only. Okay. All right. Number five, the children couldn't play outside. Why not? The rain. The rain. The rain. Okay. The rain is not a clause. It's a noun phrase, right? Just two words. The rain. The rain. Okay. So you would use the children couldn't play outside because of the rain. Because of the rain. Okay. Now, how would you change this into just simply because? Okay. Okay. How would you do that? Okay. The children couldn't play outside because the rain. Because the rain. Okay. How would you do this? Okay, you can pause right here. How would you do this? Because. Okay. You gotta use subject and verb to make it into a clause, right? Because it rained. That's one way. Simple past. Okay. What's another way can you do this? Okay. Remember, in English, you always have to have a subject. Okay. I mean, not always, but you want to have a subject because the verbs are always the same, especially in the past, simple past. Okay. So because it rained. Okay. Okay. You don't say she rained or they rained or we rained or you rained. We say it rained because it rained. What's another way you can do this? Okay, that was a simple past, right? Simple past. How can you do another way? You can do another way by saying because it was raining. Okay? And that's what? That's past continuous. Okay? Anybody get both? Because it rained and because it was raining. You can do it both ways. Okay? You can use simple past or past continuous. Okay? All right. Very good. Okay? All right. Number six. You couldn't come to school. The car had a flat tire. You couldn't come to school. The car had a flat tire. That's a clause. Subject verb. Okay. Car had. Okay. So you would use because, right? You would use because. Okay. All right. So I couldn't come to school because my car had a flat tire. I couldn't come to school because my car had a flat tire. Okay? How about because of? Can you turn that into a noun phrase? Okay? I couldn't come to school because of a flat tire, right? Because of a flat tire. That's it. Simple as that. All right. Number 7. You couldn't play in the house. I'm sorry. You couldn't buy the house, okay? You couldn't buy the house, high price. High price is just a phrase, right? Just 2 words, no verb there, okay? So, I couldn't buy the house because of the high price, okay? Because of the high price. How would you change that into a noun clause? I'm sorry, just a clause, okay? How would you change that into a clause? How would you change that into a clause and use because only? Okay, I couldn't buy the house because the price was too high. Okay, because the price was too high. Price was subject verb. Okay, that's a clause. Okay, all right. Number 8. You couldn't go to the party. Had to work. Okay, you had to work. I had to work. Okay, that's a clause, subject verb. Okay, so just because. I couldn't go to the party because I had to work. I couldn't go to the party because I had to work. Very good. Okay, all right. How would you change that into because of? Because of. I couldn't go to the party because of my work. That's it. Because of my work, okay? Or because of my job, whatever, okay? Very good, all right? Number 9. You couldn't go hiking the bad weather. The bad weather is just a phrase, right? The bad weather. There's no subject verb there. The bad weather, okay? So, I couldn't go hiking because of the bad weather, okay? As simple as because of the bad weather. And how would you change that into a clause using simply because? Okay, I couldn't go hiking because the weather was bad. The weather was bad. Okay, very good. Okay. Anybody having trouble with this? Anybody having some problems? Okay. Remember, freeze right before I tell you the answer, so you can guess before you hear the answer. Okay. All right. Number 10. You couldn't call me, was busy. Okay? You couldn't call me, was busy. Was busy sounds like a clause, right? You just have to put a subject in there, okay? So I couldn't call. I'm sorry. I couldn't call you. Okay, I'll change the pronouns. I couldn't call you because I was busy. I couldn't call you because I was busy. Okay, very good. So that was just a simple because it's a clause. I couldn't call you because I was busy. Can you turn that into a noun phrase? I couldn't call you because of what? Because of my business? No. Because what? Because of my busy schedule. You can say it that way. Okay, I couldn't call you because of my busy schedule. Okay, something like that. Okay, so you got to be a little bit, a little bit creative, a little imaginative, but you can do it with some. But like there are a couple of them that you really can't. You're really forcing it. You can't really make it sound natural. You just got to do it one way. Okay, so if you have any questions, okay, just email me. You can always, write your answers, and you can email those sentences. Okay, I mean, if you have any confusion in some of these, like, teacher, is this correct? Can I write it this way? Okay, if you email it to me, I'll see what I can do and reply to you. Okay, so if you're kind of confused or if you're not sure about something, tell me about it and I'll try to reply. Okay, all right, let's try the bottom part here. Number 3 on the bottom. Okay, number 3, communicate. Okay, it says, why did you come to this country? Why did you come to this country? Why did you come to this country? Okay, so this is a good time to maybe you can write a sentence and email it to me. Okay, why did you come to this country? Okay, and you can try both ways, because and because of. You can write 2 sentences for me. Even if you have no problem, even if you know and understand everything, let me know. Let me see who's doing really well, who's struggling a little bit. Okay, give me 2 answers. Okay, because answer and because of answer. Okay, send it to me. Choi413@gmail.com. Okay, all right, and then the answer they give here is what? Okay, it says children live here uh, uh, and close to my job, right? So the first answer is children live here. So how would you do that? How would you do that? I mean, don't do this and send it to me. Okay, give me your own answer. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna give you an answer here. Okay, I mean there are millions of answers, right? Because everybody has different sentences, right? Okay, so if somebody for this question it says, why did you come to this country? And it says, because of my children. So you gotta say, that's not a complete sentence, right? I came to this country because of my children. Okay, because of my children, noun phrase. Okay, or you can say, I came to this country because my children live here, and put a noun clause. You put a clause there. Okay, so you can put a clause with the because. Okay, I came to this country because my children live here, or I came to this country because of my children. Okay, so that's just an example of the answers. Okay, but if you can write your personal answers and write both ways. Okay, write because answer and because of answer. Okay, and then the second question is what? Why do you live in your neighborhood? Why do you live in your neighborhood? And the answer he gives is because it's close to my job. Okay, again, that's not a complete sentence, right? I mean, that's perfectly good communication, but it's not. That's a good way to communicate, but it's not a complete sentence. You say, what do you say? You say, I live in my neighborhood because it is close to my job, right? Because it is close to my job. Okay, or if you want to use noun phrase, you say, why do you live in your neighborhood? I live in my neighborhood because of my job. Okay, because of my job. Okay, so you can answer both of those questions. Okay, why did you come to this country, and why do you live in your neighborhood? Okay, and for each question, write two answers. One with because and one with because of. So, if you can, send me four answers, okay? Two for the first question and two for the second question, okay? All right, see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.